Manipulate is an interesting word. The main definition is here: to handle or control, typically in a skillful manner, operate, work, use, employ. The secondary definition is more negative. That's not what we're talking about today. In this video, I'm gonna give you some really positive tips surrounding gigs and bookings. We're gonna go through 4 areas: tips prior to the show, tips for during the show, tips for after the show, and then if you're sitting here like, well, I can't even get a show, we'll finish with tips on getting the shows. So make sure you stick around for that. All of these tips are here to help you get more bookings, help you increase your fees, and help you with networking in general. If you don't know, I'm Justin. I run Cosmic Academy. We're an artist development school, and we've been around now for over 12 years. We've worked with over 800 incredible artists, and these artists, they get the best results. They sign to labels like Defected and Spinnin, Monstercat, Anjuna. They play the biggest shows like Ultra, Tomorrowland. We said 4 students play EDC. So the tips we're gonna talk about, our students actively use them to get over 1,000 shows a year. That is correct. Our students collectively get over 1,000 shows a year. I spent the first 10 years of my career putting on concerts. So I'm also going to be talking about this from the background of a talent buyer. So let's dive in. Tips prior to your gig. If you have Spotify, go register with bands in town. This will notify people on Spotify about your gig. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go look at an artist on Spotify, scroll down, and you will see a section for their gigs. And if you do this through a service like Bands in Town, you'll get notified if the artist is in your area. And it doesn't have to be like some huge show. Even if you're DJing at your buddy's bar, you can register that show with Bands in Town. It'll help you get the word out, and it looks really professional. So if I check you out or another talent buy checks you out, it looks really legitimate. Next tip. If you were opening for someone like a headliner, go on 1001tracklist.com. This is a website that shows you live sets from countless artists. So you can actually look up what this headliner typically plays, and then you adjust your music accordingly. And to clarify, I don't believe in having a pre-planned set, but the crates or folders that you use to organize your music, make sure that the music you have is appropriate for supporting that headliner. Now make sure you're not going to play any of the same songs, and definitely don't play any of their songs. Next tip, have your logo or your visuals, whatever you want on the screen, in a Dropbox sent to the venue prior, and also bring that in a USB stick, in a flash drive to the venue on the night. Make sure your visuals are formatted correctly. Typically we like PNGs. Make sure your logos have a transparent background. Next tip, have multiple high speed, high capacity flash drives with your music. We're talking USB 3.0, 128 gigs or higher. You want 130 megabytes per second in terms of the speed, and you want multiple copies of these. And please don't just throw them all in your backpack, because what happens if you lose your backpack? Now let's jump to some tips for the night of the show, of the performance night. First one, and this is a huge one, song selection and preparation is more important than any crazy tricks or turntablism that you might have. The average listener is going to remember the great songs you played, more so than some heavily technical stuff. We're not all James Hype. On that same topic, have a rescue box or a rescue folder, and that is like a big folder, a big stash of music in case you completely misread the crowd. And that actually happens all the time. You get booked for a show, and the set that you prepared, the crate that you have prepared is just not right for this crowd. And you don't want to just keep giving them something that they don't want to hear, because if they leave, then that venue is not going to book you again, and the word might get out that you're not willing to roll with it. So always have a rescue box, a rescue USB that has different types of music in case you have to switch it up. Now, before I jump to the next tip, we choose to not have any sponsors on these videos. I don't want to sit here and read some ad from BetterHelp or from some hair loss company, which I might actually need them. But for 15 seconds, I will tell you that we have an online school. We sell out months in advance, and we have all these incredible results. We're always looking to work with great people. So if you want to take your music to the next level, your career to the next level, submit an application. I'll put in a link below in the comments. Next tip, get to the venue early and shed love. Introduce yourself to everyone working there. You want them to feel good about working with you. A show is a team effort. So you want everyone there to feel good about this team effort. I'll never forget, one of my students is nostalgic, so I don't know if you know her, but she was playing Space in Miami, this really famous club. And I went there with her, and she went really early, and everyone there, all the people that were setting up, she introduced herself to. From the sound tech, to the lighting tech, to the security guards. So that when it was her time to play, everyone was happy and working with her. That's what you want. Next tip, know your role. If you're an opener, it is your job to warm up the room and then set that room up for the headliner. Don't try to just blow the roof off. You are there in support of the headliner. You want them to do that. However, on the flip side, if you're the closer, it is your job to take that energy from the headliner and keep it at that level. The venue keeps making more money for as long as people stay. So that leaves a great impression for the people booking you. Next tip, interact with the crowd, perform, make eye contact, dance, smile, laugh. Audiences feed off your energy. Just staring down at the DJ decks, trying to look cool, being a statue, that's not helping you. People love that Skrillex goes wild. People love that John Summit has this big smile. I'm going to throw some clips up of some of my students performing, and you will notice that it looks like they're having the time of their lives, which they are. And when you're having the time of your life, the crowd wants to also. Next tip, if you mess up, move on. 99% of the people there are not paying attention like you think they are. Sure, when you go out or I go out, we're analyzing everything, all the technical aspects. But when the average person goes out, they're not. They're, looking for their friend. They're trying to get a drink, or they're in a conversation with a really cute stranger. You're going to make mistakes when you play. Don't sulk in it. Keep it moving. Next tip, if you're in a lineup with a bunch of other artists where you go on or someone before you comes in, someone after you goes on, make sure that you put all the settings in the equipment back to default. The EQ, the gain, the volume, the crossfader, the tempo. Also, make a longer version of your intro song and your outro song. Sometimes it's really time consuming and really messy when someone's jumping on after you and they gotta get their laptop in there. So you might need extra time on your outro. Same thing with your intro. Okay, now let's talk about after the show. Send a thank you note to everyone involved. I like to get one random fact about each person so I can include that in the thank you. Oh, the GM likes the Yankees. I'm going to include something about the Yankees in my thank you. The talent buyer just celebrated his anniversary. I'm going to include that. You want everyone to know that this is a personal thing for you because people want to work with people they feel connected to. Next tip, any songs that you played, try to have it recorded so that you can then hit up those artists who made that song, and even one step further, hit up the label who signed that song and show them that you supported it. So if you're really smart, you will have your cell phone or someone else or just you recording this set, hopefully on video. And you can send a small video of you playing the record. You can hit up the artist in the DMs or tag them in the post or send an email to that label. And you say something very simple like, hey, I'm Justin. I'm a DJ in Miami. I just want to let you know I've been playing out this record. The crowds have been loving it. And that is huge for networking. I have students do this all the time, and it opens the door with other artists, labels. It just shows that you're like a decent person. It's a really good start to a relationship. Next tip, when thanking the person that booked you, ask them how the night was. How was the crowd? How was your performance? Ask for any feedback, and don't take it personally. Remember, these people have probably seen thousands of other artists play that space. So they know that room way better than you. Their feedback is really powerful. Plus, it makes you someone that they want to work with. Oh, this artist is looking for feedback and they're able to take, constructive criticism. Wow, that's like a team player. That's someone I want to work with. Okay, now if you're new to this and you just listened and you're like, well, that's great, Justin, but I can't even get a gig. Let's discuss getting some shows. The main thing that's going to get you gigs is going to be your music, signed to labels, and your brand. Your ability to draw a crowd from your music and your brand is everything. But you probably already knew that. So here's some quick tips on getting some gigs. Go on Facebook, go to the group section, type in your genre and your city. You will find one group or maybe many groups dedicated to that genre. Now go into that group and shed love. Support the posts in there, support the other artists in there, make friends with the people in there. My students literally do this and get gigs around the world from the comfort of their couch. You can literally network with someone across the world in a different country, in a different city. And it's absolutely incredible. I think that this is a game changer for getting shows. Next one, offer to play for free.
Say what?
Yeah, I know that sounds crazy, but imagine this. Imagine you contact a venue, you say, hey, I know I'm gonna do such a great job. I know I'm gonna bring a great crowd, and I'm so confident that you don't even have to pay me. Let me prove it the first time. Just give me an hour, give me 30 minutes. And if I do well, you're gonna wanna book me again. That's how a lot of my students get their first gigs, and that's how I ended up booking a lot of people on their first times. Another great tip for getting shows. Start supporting shows and going to the actual venue many times before you would get booked. You know, it's not just you buying tickets to their other shows, it's more than that. It's going there, getting to know the people that work there, ideally early before the night gets crazy, and offering to help them, supporting them on this night that's about to happen. Now, I always tell a story about Zed very early on in his career. I booked him and he showed up early, like way early to a show. I was kind of like, hey man, like you're really early, and he's like standing there with his luggage and like, yeah, I'll have someone take you to your hotel, this and that. And he's like, no, I'm here, let me help. And he actually did. And he went over to one of my stage guys and started lending a hand. That right there left a massive impression with us. And we're all sitting there, and he's like 19 at the time, and we're like, yeah, this is someone we want to work with. Another tip for getting gigs. If you can show up at that venue before you get anything, offer to help the other DJs that perform there. The easiest way, tell them that you're really good with pictures or video and capturing content, and you'll take really good content for them. And even if like you don't get to have that conversation, you can still do it, hit them up afterwards and say, hey, just to let you know, I was at your show and I'm pretty good with content, so I took some for you and here you go. I hope you use it. Next tip, persistence is everything. Hitting up one venue, one time, is not what it's about. I spent the first 10 years of my career as a concert producer. Hitting me up once was not enough. You need to be persistent with your approach. You know, some people think, oh, I look creepy, oh, it's strange. No, not at all. It shows that you're persistent and a hard worker and you're eager. It makes us think, wow, like look at how hard this person's trying. Imagine how hard they're gonna work if we book them. Now, this is a giant topic, getting shows. So if you want even more tips and really flesh this out, I have a full video on just that. I'm gonna leave that up here. So make sure to go watch that one next. I'll see you in there.